my questions are, I write for a parenting magazine, and my questions are really about the parent's perspective. Why should parents get this vaccine for their kids?
Okay. So we're going to talk about meningococcal disease in general. So
Sure.
Meningococcus is a bacterial infection it primarily manifests in two different manners. First way is meningitis. And meningitis is an infection of the lining of the spinal canal in the brain. It causes severe headaches, neck stiffness, disorientation, high fevers, and the child in general looks very ill, unable to walk, unable to get around. The other way it manifests is meningococcemia. This is a bloodstream infection, and that generally presents with petechia, little spots on the body, also little bruises everywhere, and sometimes huge bruises on the body all over. In addition, the child is feverish and looks very ill as well. The problem is that the illness, when it comes on, it's very, very slow onset initially, and it looks very generic, like common cold, influenza, whatever. And then within an hour to 6 hours, 12 hours, it can grossly invade the body and send the child into total shock with circulatory collapse. Just the baby looks, or the child looks awful. And then in that group, if the child's 11 to 17 or so, the odds of dying is almost 1 in 5. And about 1 in 5 also suffer severe complications such as paralysis, nerve damage, seizures, brain damage, loss of limbs, as Nick's going to talk to you about in a few seconds as well.
When I was 14, I was at a summer camp in 1999 up in western Massachusetts. And I came down with what I thought was just a bad case of the flu one evening. I figured 1-2 days I'll be back on my feet, I'll be as good as new. Well, the next morning the flu hadn't gotten any better, and within the course of maybe an hour or two, the symptoms had gotten quite severe. I was in excruciating pain. I couldn't stand up without collapsing. My body was riddled in purple blotches, which is one of the earliest telltale signs of blood poisoning and meningococcemia. And I was rushed to the hospital where I was induced into a coma, where I remained in that coma for the next 2 months. In those 2 months, I was given, that first night I was given about a 10% chance of survival. I had organ failure. I had, my heartbeat rose to over 300 beats per minute. I mean, they literally thought that my heart was just going to explode.
So glad that you're still with us.
Yeah, me too. And then after the disease was kind of handled and my body was stabilized, then they had to deal with the after effects, which was the amputation of my legs at the knee and my hands at the forearm. When I woke up from the coma 2 months after originally getting sick, I was very surprised to learn that I had contracted bacterial meningitis, an illness that I had never heard of. My parents had heard of it, but they didn't really know much about it. And we were even more surprised to learn that there was a vaccine fully available that could have prevented this from happening.
So, yeah, we have vaccines that probably could have prevented some of this problem. So just to let your readers know and your audience know, there are 2 vaccines available. One is called Menactra, which has been around for about 5 years. And the newest one is Menveo, and that's the brand new one, just got approved this last few months. So the vaccines have a little difference though. They're both approved for children and adults 11 to 55 years old. The Menactra has been around a bit longer, and it's approved for the 2 to 10-year-old population as well. But the target for the vaccine is actually the 11 to 17-year-olds, college freshmen, military recruits, and other people at high risk. But this disease occurs at any time, at any place, and anywhere, and any age, basically. If we just take a look at Tulsa, Oklahoma this week, there have been 7 cases reported. 6 of those were in one elementary school. 2 of those children have died. They also had a case in a teenager just the last few days as well. So this
contagious between people?
It is spread entirely between people, usually in close proximity. Think people like college freshmen in dormitories, also military recruits, schools, and daycares. It can spread easily. It's an uncommon disease. There are only about 2,000 to about 1,000 cases a year, and about 200 to 250 deaths a year from this. However, when it does occur, it is awful. It's devastating and deadly.
I mean, I've heard so many stories of people who have survived and stories from parents whose kids haven't, of, oh, you know, everyone thought it was the flu. I thought it was the flu. They thought it was the flu. No one really did anything about it. And then once it really starts to take control, it happens so fast that that it can really grab you by surprise. Happens to healthy kids.
There are resources for your audience as well, if you'd like to know. And you can go to the cdc.gov site, aap.org, meningitis.com, nmaus.org. Any of those sites will give you lots more information about these diseases and problems. But remember, what we're trying to really emphasize here is that if you have a child between the ages of 11 and 17 and even up to 18, I would highly recommend to get the vaccine. It is imperative. If I never see another case of this disease, I will be one of the happiest guys on earth.
Our blog has been covering a lot of vaccine stories in the last month or so, and a lot of them had to do with Jenny McCarthy and her anti-vaccine friends. And I'm curious if you guys could say one thing to Jenny McCarthy, what would it be?
Let us save the children and keep them healthy, please. It's too important for them to get vaccines. All this internet paranoia and gossip is not good for the health of our kids in the USA in any way, shape, or form. They need their vaccines. It protects them. I was raised in the medical era of Hib, Haemophilus influenza, pneumococcus, pertussis. I've seen measles, all of which are devastating diseases, all of which cause brain damage, can kill, can maim. We don't need those around anymore. We can prevent them all with the vaccines that we have. They're safe, they're effective. Let us use them.
Thank you. All right, that's it for my questions.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.